How are we doing? Thank you very much for joining. A big welcome to you all. It's great to see so many people here in this workshop, Building Stroke-Friendly Communities, and we are all history makers because for the first time ever we are going live on Facebook from a workshop at the UK Stroke Assembly. So we can just give a big wave to the camera over there. And yeah, welcome to everyone who is on our Stroke Association Facebook page. It is really great to have you with us too. Today's session is hopefully going to be really interactive, that we want to hear all of your experiences, but we may not be able to get round all of them, but it's really important that you get to share them. So if you're able to, if we're unable to get to you, if you can make a note of them as soon as they come to you. Becky and I will be here in the workshop, in this room, after the workshop, and we'll make sure that we get round to absolutely everyone. And that goes to everyone on Facebook as well. Please do join us online by sharing your experiences and comments in the message tab below. I'd like to introduce you to Becky. So Becky works with local businesses, and myself, I'm Scott Smith, and I work with volunteers, and soon we'll be introducing you to Andrew Davies, who has been working... Yep, Andrew, do you want to give a wave? Andrew's at the front here. We'll be introducing Andrew shortly, who's the project officer with us as well. So Becky, over to you.
Thank you. So between Scott and I, we have worked with stroke survivors for about 7 years now. And in that time, we've heard lots of stories which have touched us and have made us angry, and they've done some really scary things. And I'm sure you all will have stories to tell, and I'm really excited to hear them. So Building Stroke-Friendly Communities is a new product that we're developing. It's still very much in the early trial stages at the moment. So today is all about capturing your experience so that we can start to make a difference. But as you can see up here, these are just some quotes from people that we've heard in our time. So things that people are saying to us are, people don't understand what it's like to have a stroke.
I look okay on the inside, so people expect me to be okay.
I really lack confidence when speaking to new people.
I don't enjoy going out on my own, and I don't do things that I loved before my stroke.
And I would go out more if I knew that places were aware and understanding of stroke. And some of you are nodding, which is, obviously this is really, really relevant. We know that this is a problem and we want to make a difference there. So,
going over to my favourite slide, because it includes a pint of beer. And yeah, this is my favourite slide of the presentation. But on a serious note, we're all entitled to have a drink of our choice whenever we want. And unfortunately, working with volunteers and groups across the country, I hear so many times that people are refused a drink because they have aphasia and slurred speech, and then people accuse them of being drunk. One particular example was when 2 volunteers, after volunteering at one of our stroke groups, went to the local to have a drink, and they were refused when they explained why they had slurred speech and that they weren't drunk. This was midday. The barman still refused to sell them a drink, and it's a real shame. And it's not just 1 or 2 times that's happened. I've heard it many times. I'm actually seeing again some nodding heads. So this is an example of one that I want to change because I've heard it so many times. Of a bad experience that we want to hear from people, and Becky's just going to go on to a more pleasant experience, a good experience at Gatwick.
Yeah, so whilst things happen that are negative, and I'm sure you're all thinking of something bad that's happened to you, there are some little gems out there, and there are people that really capture the right experience and actually make people feel like they should feel. You should all be able to go out into your communities and live the life that you want to live, and do things that you want to do and had done before your stroke. So this was a story from a lady called Carol. She basically went to Gatwick Airport. Her husband had a stroke and can't walk more than 20 metres. He looks slim, he looks well. There's lots of you in this room you would never know had strokes. And she said that she was really panicking because her husband couldn't walk. So they'd struggled up to the entrance. She was trailing suitcases trying to take their luggage with them and when she bumped into one of Gatwick Airport's assistants. And he sort of could see that she was looking a bit panicked, stopped and asked how she was feeling. And she said that he was absolutely amazing. So he helped them through, he carried their luggage, got them a wheelchair, and just made their whole journey a little bit more pleasant. He then actually announced over the tannoy for them to wait where they were, where he'd left them, and he came back and helped them get to the departure lounge, which, though it seems like a very simple thing, that's amazing, and it should be happening more. People should be more stroke aware. She actually said, what would have been very stressful transformed my experience, and it makes such a difference when living with someone with a hidden disability. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that businesses in the community are aware of what stroke is and are aware of the lasting impacts and often the hidden impacts of stroke.
Fantastic. So that's two examples, a good experience and a bad experience, and I can see there's people in the room eager to share their experiences, so there will be an activity very shortly to do that. And anyone online, please feel free to comment on the comment section at any time during this workshop. We do have someone who will be monitoring those comments. So we've got experiences we know of. I'm just going to ask Becky some questions now, so on your behalf. What are we going to do with these experiences?
So what we want today, as I say, this is very early in the trial stage. I want to hear your positives and your negatives, and I know that the negatives are going to be probably more prominent in your minds than the positives. And once you've shared those experiences with me, I personally am going to go back to the office and ring the businesses that you tell me about and have conversations with them about what you've fed back to us. So be that positive or negative. Those conversations will shape a toolkit, and that toolkit will be issued to businesses across the country as you continue to share those experiences. So our intention is that people will start to be more stroke aware. They will be friendlier and more accepting of stroke and the variation of side effects. And also they'll start to do some fundraising for us. They might host stroke clubs and groups. So it's a general all-round package that we're really hopeful, but by sharing your real lived voice and your real lived experience, that we'll be able to make a massive difference.
All sounds very good. Where are the Stroke Association with the project so far?
So as I say, we're very early stages, and this is the first time that we have asked people for their experiences. So I'm really excited to hear what you've got to say. We hear all too often, and we've never had a method of capturing stories before. So we will be launching a web form in the next couple of weeks. If you are interested in that, we'll take your details and send you an email after this so that you can continue to share experiences as you have them. And the more you share, the more we can do and the more we can change. We'll start to recognise trends. If there are particular businesses that are great, then we can start to encourage other industries to do the same. And I saw something yesterday morning which really touched me. So I was having breakfast and one of the delegates was really struggling and the waitress came over and just said to him, "Sit down, what do you want?" Went and got his food for him, cut it up, left him to enjoy his breakfast. And that makes such a huge difference if you struggle with that. And we'll feed that back to Radisson Blu and see why. Why did they do that? Was it just that they knew we were here? Or is it something that actually they teach their staff? They know that the impact of stroke and they know that people will be struggling with simple things like that at times. So we'll try and get other businesses to do the same. And that's what's really important. It shouldn't just be that you can only go to a Radisson Blu hotel because they're stroke aware. You should be able to go to any hotel that you want. And that's exactly what we want to capture.
And it looks to me that it's small changes, this project's aiming to make small changes that will have a big impact for stroke survivors and people affected by stroke.
Absolutely, and as I say, the more we do, the more we can raise funds and awareness. That's what it's all about. So we want to make it sort of a full circle that people share their experience, we feed that back to the business, and we encourage them with tools and training that they just generally become more stroke friendly. And that's what it's all about, is connecting to the community and making sure that it's in your local area. So this might be that you're getting on an Arriva bus and the driver was fantastic, and we want to encourage that. But it might also be that your local newsagent has a communication card and they can actually help you to pick out what you want, or the local cafe, they speak to you. All too often I see businesses speak to someone's relative or carer rather than actually speaking to the person in question. And that's a really simple change that we can make.
Brilliant, thank you. So it's this workshop, you've heard it here first, it's a very exclusive workshop, hopefully stands out from the others, so thank you very much for coming. You've heard it here first, and that's why it's really important that we do gather your feedback about the process in itself and also your experiences. But before we get on to that activity, we're really pleased to have the support of Andrew Davies. For any of you that have met Andrew over the last couple of days or other events, you'll know just by speaking to him just how passionate he is for making a difference to people affected by stroke. So I'd like to welcome Andrew to introduce himself and share his lived experience. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi everybody. Yes, my name is Andrew Davies. I've been working on a project of my own for about 4.5 years, gathering research and everything else. And like Scott's is a favourite beer, mine is food. So yeah, I'm Andrew Davies. I had a stroke 6 years ago. The one thing we all have in common is we all eat. We all have to eat, whether we eat at home or whether we go out and dine out as a family or with our carer or friends, so on and so forth. So this is just one of the places where this project can help stroke survivors, not just for today or tomorrow, but for the futures to come. This is in its infancy, and it can grow into something quite remarkable, to be honest with you. Stroke survivors have varied symptoms. You know, so whether you have aphasia, you have mobility issues, etc. The thing is, with this project, is it has the capability to build a database of businesses that you have visited yourself, or you know, you could be saying, I don't know, I'm going to be going to London for the weekend, you know, and if there are survivors and carers from the London area who give Becky and Scott the information of places that they have visited and they've had good experiences and they've found the accessibility to be good, then you can take that on board. You know, you can plan your holiday, you can plan your trip and not have that uncertainty of where you're going to go. Like, I know we're talking about stroke today, but you know, you could have had a stroke and be lactose intolerant. You could be a celiac. You know, there's all these factors that make your venturing outside the house and visiting new places, which can be stumbling blocks. You know, we hear too often that people who have had strokes are very reluctant to leave their house, which has a mental health impact. You know, we need to give confidence back to stroke survivors to allow them to venture beyond their safe places, not only beyond their safe zones, but the further you venture, the more your confidence will grow. The more your confidence will grow, the more you will regain a fuller life. And that is it. Like for me, when I left hospital after having my stroke, it was like entering the twilight zone. I don't know whether I was more nervous for myself of the unknown, or whether it was for my wife, who was 8 stone soaking wet and had to deal with me either in my wheelchair or on a Zimmer frame, and what would happen if I fell. And one positive experience that I had, and the food is from this actual cafe, was before I had my stroke, my wife and I used to visit this cafe quite often for a sandwich or lunch or whatever. And after my stroke, one of my bucket list things that I just wanted to tick off was just going back there. You know, I was back in the Zimmer, I was out of a chair, I was on a Zimmer frame, and I went to walk from the car park to a cafe. Now, what would have usually taken me 5 minutes, it took me a lot longer. But the thing was the cafe, because I'd been a regular customer there, they knew me. They made sure that, you know, when I explained to them how difficult things were, that they adapted to me. They adapted to me as a customer, that they made sure that they spaced their tables out further for wheelchair or for my, and not just for when I was coming, but generally for everyday use. So this is what we are trying to establish here, is your stories, hopefully more positive and negative, obviously. But these stories will help other people in the future. You know, like I'll go back to the story where Becky said about the airport. For 4.5 years, I've been doing research based on this kind of thing with Swansea University. For anybody who has got a hidden disability, whether it's aphasia, whether it's a mental illness, is that you can apply for a sunflower band from Heathrow Airport and Gatwick Airport. It's like a lanyard. It's just a lanyard. There's no badge. There's no sign saying, hi, I'm disabled. It's just a lanyard with sunflowers on it. And the staff at Gatwick and Heathrow Airport are trained. If they see somebody with that band on, they should go on to them and ask them if they need any assistance. You don't need to ask for it. You just go, they see, they do, and that's it. So that's how things are moving forward in 2018, 19, 20, and the only way is up, to be honest with you. From small acorns, great oak trees grow, and that's what this project is all about. And that's why I am here and why I want to speak to you today. And I wish Scott, Becky, and the Stroke Association all the best with this project, because the sooner it's out there, the sooner it's helping every single person, not only in this room, but beyond as well. And hopefully we'll have a database of positivity, and that's it. That's all I want to say. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew. So, are we eager to start sharing and have a little moan? So, Stroke Friendly Communities is all about amplifying your voice. That is exactly what we want to do. We want to be able to go back to businesses and feedback. So don't hold back, be honest, tell me exactly how it is. I want to know the goods and the bads. What does good look like? If you've been and had a bad experience, what would have made it better? What could that business have done to have improved? And with that information, we can start to have these conversations and hopefully very quickly make a difference. So, for the next 15 minutes, we are going to come around the room. There's quite a few members of staff in the room. Can Stroke Association staff just wave for us, please? A few of you, brilliant. So, if we just break into small groups, and we'll start to capture your experiences. There's paper on the tables. There are some forms that have been taken from the web form. Feel free to use those if you want to, or just use general paper. But share your experiences in your groups and tell us what's good, what's bad, who's brilliant and who's awful. And we'll come around and have chats with you whilst we do that. And if you are online, please do feel free to comment in the comments section. We want to hear about your experiences. The room is being moderated, so we will read some of those out towards the end of the session. So keep your comments coming. But over to you guys. Let's hear your voices. Okay, are we ready to come and share some experiences? All deep in conversation.
Really, really sorry to stop the conversations on the tables.
It's brilliant that you are all sharing so much. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. We've had loads of great interaction on Facebook as well. But I just wanted to highlight something that I've recognised while speaking to you all, is that a lot of you are telling us that these things happened 5, 10, 20 years ago. And that's obviously stayed with you and really affected you. And that is a huge knock to confidence, particularly early on in your recovery. So I really hope that you feel that this tool will be valuable to stop that happening, and that you feel confident and comfortable to share experiences like this on an ongoing basis. We want this conversation to continue outside of this room for years to come, because it's really important that businesses are stroke friendly. So we've got some great examples on Facebook.
Yes, so some great interaction on Facebook, some nice messages, one from Charlie, who works for a private neuro rehab company in East Sussex called Rehab for You. He was just actually making a general point about this is great that we're broadcasting this live, and he was happy to be joining. Feels like the kind of people we want to be working with within this project, within the local community. Some general points from people around communication and support within the local community. So Barbara said, could the Stroke Association issue a card stating the person has a stroke and struggles with aphasia to explain that they aren't drunk or something else? It would help to give stroke survivors confidence to go out and help raise awareness at the same time.
Yeah, brilliant. So we've already got tools like that available, and those are the kind of simple things that we want to be able to issue to businesses. So if you go to stroke.org.uk, you can get one of these little cards. And it basically says, I have had a stroke and find it difficult to speak, read or write. So you can show that to people. These are free on our website. A few of you have got them. We have got some here if you'd like to take one of these away with you. Yeah, Nick's got one. Keep it in your wallet, and it just helps you if you are struggling to have that conversation. Someone's making you feel like pressured or they're making you feel uncomfortable. You can just pull this out, and it saves that feeling of embarrassment and awkwardness. So these are available free of charge on our website. So hopefully that's useful.
We also have another comment around communication support from Jane, who says she's a carer for her mum who had a stroke last August. She has communication difficulties. People don't know how to address her mum. They tend to address her instead. She'd like to see more people being made aware how to communicate to stroke survivors within the community.
Thanks, Jane. Yeah, that's something that has come up on a couple of tables that have been around in the room as well. We've got some literature at the front, and one of them that I came across was our Aphasia Ask, Wait, Listen postcard, and this is something that you can give to your local business or someone that would like to just learn a little bit more about aphasia, and it asks people to ask, wait, and listen. And one of the points that was raised in that comment, the first one is, face me when you speak to me. Don't speak to someone else, don't speak to the friend, the carer, or someone with you. Face and talk to the person who is wanting to talk to you. So again, we do have communication tools on our website, stroke.org.uk, and for people in the room, we've got a couple at the front, so please do grab one of these postcards and one of the wallet cards if they're going to be of use. Thank you.
We have just a very nice comment from Kaylee, who tells us the Stroke Association were the only ones to provide support and information when she had her stroke. It was invaluable in her recovery. It's a lovely point, but it also sort of stresses that there weren't many other people within the community there to help her, and we can be doing some more perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, there's over 1 million stroke survivors live in the UK, and to businesses, that's a huge market that they want to. They should want your business, they should want your custom, so we really want to change that. And it seems that a lot of the things that you're telling us can be quite simply changed. It's not groundbreaking, we're not trying to completely change the way that businesses work. It's just a little bit of awareness. That's all it really needs. So it's really valuable to hear experiences. Thank you. Time for one more, yeah?
Yeah, sure. We've got a lovely example here of communities showing that understanding. It's from Gina Engel. And she says, after my stroke, my favourite Chinese restaurant cooked no sugar, no salt, and no fats for me for years, so I'd not stop coming in with my granddaughter.
Doesn't sound like much of a Chinese takeaway to me. But we're going to hand over to you guys in the room now. So has anyone got an experience that you'd like to share? Got any good ones?
I think is it Andrew was talking about the lanyard, the sunflower lanyard setup. On a recent flight, I had the lanyard on, and we had a bit of a problem with some of the staff there who had no idea why I was wearing this little lanyard because I could walk my way down, carrying a bag and all the bits and pieces, and they just had no training whatsoever at all. I was just wondering, is there any way you can go and give them a wee talk to? I did this so you know what kind of talk you. Hopefully that doesn't show up on this.
I need to practice
training.
my martial arts to get this working. No. Thank you, Paul. I had a over here, lady here.
Hi, I'm going to give away some of my shopping secrets right now. Primark have got a disabled till. And so rather than having to queue in long lines, you can actually go to the till and a member of staff will either move from where it is that they are or just beckon you to come to them and that you skip the queues. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. But it would be really great if more shops did something similar that actually recognised that perhaps kind of standing for long periods of time are difficult, or the more it is that you have to wait, that you get flustered or anxious, all of those kind of things, because that might also encourage us to spend more money if we got money to spend. But yes, but even it would just make the shopping experience greater.
Brilliant, and it's a great example. We can actually go to Primark and speak to them about how they developed that, what they're doing, if they've got plans to expand that, and then we can take it to other stores and businesses to encourage them to do the same.
And even though the sign is obviously the wheelchair, because that's the international sign of disability, that they have never said, oh, you're not in a wheelchair, you shouldn't come here. Yeah.
It's the way it should be.
We just contrast that with a story. Okay, so I'll tell the story, which is not about me, but it's about Primark. Wanted to go to the disabled checkout to pay, but there was no one there. So went up to a member of staff to say, can I pay? And the member of staff said, you have to show proof of your disability. You don't look disabled. What do I do? Do I give up? Do I walk out of the store? Do I feel mortified? Actually, asked to see the manager, explain that I was very upset. Manager apologised, but that was down to a member of staff who was unaware of what they could do, and actually quite humiliating. Again, same store, different experience. Is that a fair story? Thank you.
Thank you, Hilary.
Thank you very much.
One more from Andrew.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah, me again. I just want to answer the question about the sunflower lanyard. I think, is it Paul? Right. The problem is, whatever system you put into place, there's always going to be hiccups, and there's always going to be people who don't do their job, or they're just a clock in, clock out kind of guy, or girl who don't really care about their job. They just turn up, they clock in, they finish their job, they clock out, and that's it. But I know that there's going to be issues, and it is a good system to have in place. But I can tell about one thing that happened in Gatwick was the sunflower lanyard failed for me also. But when I complained to Gatwick, and it wasn't so much the stress it caused me, it was the stress that it caused my wife. And as an apology, they sent her a £200 Fortnum & Mason hamper. Now, I'm not saying we should complain to get a Fortnum & Mason hamper, but it did soften the blow a little bit, you know what I mean? And of course, I told her it was off me as a Christmas present, but that but no, in every negative you can take a positive, and every positive there's going to be a negative. So, all we can say is that companies are trying, and I'm not saying it's going to be perfect every day or every week or whatever, but at least they are trying, and that's all I can say, to take a positive from a negative.
I think that raises a very important point, is that we shouldn't be afraid to complain about the treatment it is that we're getting, because it's almost like I find sometimes that I'm apologising for being me. And so kind of therefore somehow we expect a less than standard because we're less than in some way. But actually I think what it is saying is that when situations like that arise, then actually we need to take a deep breath to be able to kind of centre ourselves, but actually to demand our rights to be treated fairly, and actually make those complaints. And if we're really lucky, we can get £200 Fortnum & Mason hamper. I mean, how cool is that? But I think it is that whole thing that actually recognise the value that we bring to the table as individuals. And it doesn't matter what your disability is or what is your challenge is, that you are enough. And it's time for us to be making that statement, yes, and we're here to stay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Don't really know how to follow that. Yeah. So, summed up perfectly.
I think one observation for me is that we've got the same store, same places, different experiences, and this is why we feel this project would be really good, is that we can start to highlight patterns of where things are going really good or where we've highlighted that things can improve. So the more people that we get engaged with this project, the more information that we can get, and Becky's just going to go on to the process.
Yeah, brilliant. So I know that staff have been making some notes, so I will gather those up and start to make those phone calls and see what we can start to do with businesses to change the way that we're working. In the next couple of weeks, the form will be going live on the website, so people online and you guys in the room can start to share your experiences. And I'd encourage you to tell us as quickly as you can when it happens. So a little bit like TripAdvisor, just pop on and let us know what's happened, because the sooner you tell us, the more fresh it's going to be in that staff member's mind or in the store's mind, and we can start to really make a difference. So we'll get that web link out to you as soon as it's up and running. But really, just a massive thank you for sharing, and I'm sorry to hear that it's such a common thing. We knew it was a problem, but hopefully we can really start to make some big changes. So we've got a couple of just thoughts up on the screen here. So this says, how can we capture more experiences? We'd love your thoughts on that, how you think we could encourage more stroke survivors to submit experiences to us. And so second point there is, if you have had a positive experience or someone local to you has had a positive experience, would you want to hear about it? And if so, how would you like that to be communicated to you? Would you want to get a monthly newsletter? Would you like updates via our website? What does that look like? And then finally, what do you think? Do you want this? Do you think you will submit experiences to us? So just a little bit of food for thought there. I think we've got a couple of minutes if anyone's got any comments or questions.
Positive experience because it positive newsletter, good read positive because high mood is good and we stand up for ourselves. Sorry, bear with me, I have a stroke. Why I say sorry? Because if I don't say that, they don't treat me slow and drunk, maybe sometimes, you know, maybe it's true, but it's not in the afternoon. So, but
Brilliant.
that good.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks, Heidi.
Another comment over here, Tony.
I think you've got a real opportunity to work with stroke groups and local community groups about this, and maybe if they can pencil in 10-15 minutes sort of in each session, they could do what we've done today, which I think everyone would say is a really good experience. And not only then will you get more people hopefully to interact with it, but obviously with people with aphasia and other difficulties, it might be easier for someone to collate all those experiences and then send them to you. And also people are sharing their positives, such as the Primark counter, etc., with people in that group. So they then don't have to necessarily go online to find it. It's just a good way to sort of share their experiences sort of weekly and monthly and keep it fresh in everyone's mind, because I think it's a really good scheme that you're doing, and I think it's something that's really simple.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think that is definitely something that we need to do. I work very closely with Beth, who looks after and supports our groups across the country, so I'll pass that on as almost an activity for groups to do, which has got benefits within the group, but also opportunities for people, if they're unable to use the website, can fill it in with the support of someone at the group. So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yes, we've got time for two more.
Hi, my question is actually to yourselves. You're on about like these, but how do we contact you? Because I can't use a computer. I don't know what a website is. I don't know what the internet is. But I've no telephone number. Nowhere have I seen a telephone number where I can ring you and tell you. Okay. So you're missing out. I couldn't write to you, but I would like to talk to you over the phone, but I don't know how to get in touch with the Stroke Association or the person in the Stroke Association. I used to have my stroke guide, and I could get a lot of things off that. But you haven't got my stroke guide now. You want to try getting it up. You know, it's this that is great. And we want to hear this when we're here, but we want to get back to you How do I ever get hold of you? I don't know. How do I get hold of you? I don't know. And we need that.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm more than happy. We'll be in touch generally, but if you want to take one of my cards to have a conversation with me about experiences that you've had, I'd love to hear from you and everyone in this room, because it's really simple. And there are some forms on the tables as well that you're more than welcome to take away. They have got a return address on them, so you can post those back to us. And we can get some more of those printed. If you'd like to take a little wad with you, we can get some of those printed for you.
And I think, just to say on the My Stroke Guide comment, My Stroke Guide is absolutely still going, but we can have a chat about any support you might need or any technical problems there. So we can catch up with you after. They're in the digital zone, so you can, yeah, I can show you after, but that's fine. One more comment here?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say we went to New York and we met some people from the National Aphasia Association there. And they have little stickers that they can put in shop windows and cafe windows saying, I'm stroke and aphasia friendly. And some of them even have an iPad that they can show people so they can choose the dishes from a photograph rather than having to read a menu. So maybe that's the kind of thing that we could do here locally.
Yeah, absolutely. We're developing some aphasia-friendly materials, so there will be a recognised aphasia logo that stores can have. Melanie Derbyshire, who is here today, is working on that, and I think it's launching towards the end of the year. So an aphasia logo is coming, which is really exciting.
Stick on the shop window.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing. Okay. There we go. There seems to be tons of experience in the room. Please do come and have a chat with Scott and I. We're more than happy to continue this conversation for the hours for the rest of today. To everyone online, a massive thank you for all of your comments. We will have a little look and read, and if you're watching this after it's gone offline, please do continue to update and include comments, and we'll pick those up. But thank you all so much for sharing your experiences. It seems that there's a real lack of understanding, and that's what we really want to change. So thank you for coming and joining us, and hopefully you'll see this project take off over the next 6 months or so.
Thank you very much.